Hi everyone, welcome back. I am Leslie Bilodeau Plazic. I'm the author of The Audacious Adventures of Zazoo Plazz, part-time superhero, full-time mom. It's May 13th, 2020, and I'd like to welcome you to our little video party, Meandering May. It's like you can tell the energy's kind of slowing down. All of April, I'm like, I gotta talk about this. And now I'm still here every day. But, it's a little harder to come up with things to talk about. And things seem kind of slower, kind of a little, less energetic. Not as much fire going on. But I'm here with Zazoo, and I have a story to tell you today. So, there's a story in the book called The Lollipop Ladies, and that's what they call crossing guards in the UK and Australia. And so today I kind of want to talk about this story in the book, which has to do with when I was a kid. I used to walk home from school, and I didn't have to cross the street. And it was maybe a 10-15 minute walk from school to my house. And sometimes I went different ways. But I'd have to walk around the corner where the crossing guard was leading the other kids across the street. And there was this one crossing guard in particular. Let's call her Mrs. Toffee. And she was tough. She was fun. Turned out she was a Sagittarius, which is, I have 3 planets in Sagittarius in my chart. 3 personal planets. So I thought she was cool. She'd be playing, she had her little radio out there, and for some reason whenever I seemed to be going by, she'd be playing The Candy Man by Sammy Davis Jr., which I think when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade it came out in that movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So it seemed always to be playing when I walked by at a certain hour in the afternoon. And she'd be dancing, and she'd be moving, and she'd say, "Hey!" And I'd go, "Hey," bebop around the corner, and everything was cool, and And then one day, the substitute crossing guard, Mrs. Gumdrop, happened to be on duty. And for some reason, I was deep in thought. I was looking at the sidewalk and, counting my steps, trying not to step on the cracks, or just thinking about what I was going to have for a snack, or thinking about something that happened in the rigors of a day in 2nd grade. And for some reason, she came toward me. "Hello!" Like Mrs. Doubtfire in that scene where Robin Williams puts his face into the cake and he comes up, "Hello! Hello!" Comes up out of the refrigerator. So she comes running toward me with her arms out, and she was round, Mrs. Gumdrop. Everything about her was round, and I got freaked out. And all I could think of, I'll read the passage in the book here. "One day the substitute crossing guard, Mrs. Gumdrop, saw me coming and fluttered toward me like a hummingbird, chirping 'hello' as I approached the intersection. As she held out her arms toward me, smiling like our dental hygienist before she shoved cotton balls in my mouth and painted bubblegum fluoride all over my teeth, I gagged, burst into tears, and ran all the way home." Whereupon my mother met me at the door, and I told her what happened, and she said, "How could that lovely woman who everyone loves, Mrs. Gumdrop, make you cry? It's unthinkable." And I didn't know. I just didn't like her. I mean, I'm sure she was a lovely woman, but she wrote a nice flowery note to my mother apologizing for making me cry. She didn't mean any harm, I'm sure. But something freaked me out about her. Obviously, it's, if I could still remember it 40 something years later, something happened back there. So, and it wasn't a traumatic incident by any means, but it did sort of make me think, about, as I often do, about our relationships to people. And, as kids, we follow our instincts. We respect them. Like, I don't like that person. I'm not going to talk to that person. Who knows why? Dogs sniff each other's butts, right? In the street, they sniff each other's behinds. Maybe it's an animal behavior, and maybe it serves us well. To sometimes, instead of overriding it automatically, think about energy, and how things we pass, things we go by, we pick up on, and we often dismiss it as, oh, you're being silly or whatever. I remember when my son Brennan, my oldest son, was in this preschool class when he was about 2. And we'd go, and most of the time he'd get along great with the other kids. But there was this one little girl. Every time they were together in class, they'd start fighting. She would usually start it. And then he would be like, cry or whatever, respond in kind, fight back, or, he'd get upset clearly because she would, come at him. He'd see the little girl coming toward him and he'd be like, I don't like her, Mommy. So you have to think about that. I remember, clearly as a child, obviously that's what the Lollipop Ladies is about. So perhaps this is part of our evolution. Part of this whole time that we're separated from each other is to think about our instincts and respect our, our boundaries. What, where do you, where's your personal space? What instinctively makes you happy? And what instinctively says, yeah, I don't think so. So, we have much to learn from our animal friends, I think. Because I'm constantly reminded in the old days when I used to take Dee Dee to the dog park, and usually she'd just be out there running with the other dogs. But then a couple of times these little snappy dogs would come up and, challenge her to a fight. And she did not like that. Or another dog would try to take the ball away from her. And, it's worth thinking about. So that's my deep philosophical insight for today. The Lollipop Ladies. And of course there's more to the story, as you will find. If you like stories about these types of things, then you'll love Zazoo. Because there's a lot where this came from. A lot more stories like the Lollipop Ladies. So I hope you have a sweet day, and I will talk to you next time. Enjoy.